Well, it is, and it's been coming for the last decade because the Special Operations Forces have doubled in size and their employment has grown almost 3 times. So they're being used more and in more places than ever before in their history. And that's what I also see for the future, is they will continue to be employed at a high rate all over the world.
To the point.
Well, no, I don't think so. But since they are particularly suited to operating in small formations, and I would hazard a guess that we're not going to be involved in large-scale wars, large-scale combat, they will be particularly looked to for a lot of these missions. But whenever it's a large mission, relatively speaking, conventional forces may be asked to partner with them, which they did to some degree in this village stability operations in Afghanistan that I wrote about in my book. Also, conventional forces have particular areas of expertise that they may be called upon to combine that expertise with special ops. Well, what I see, and I think the tipping point may have come somewhere actually in the middle of this past decade, as people, the exhaustion with the big war phenomenon was really taking over. And I think a lot of people ask the question, why do we need so many boots on the ground? Is there a way to leverage other nations, the host nation forces, or coalition partners? And those are both things that the special ops folks do, which is kind of a closely held secret. Many people think of special ops going in unilaterally, but in fact, that's only one way in which they're employed. Well, I think that geographically there's a lot of concern about Africa, East and West Africa, North Africa. Libya, with the fall of Gaddafi, unleashed a giant arms bazaar on many of these African countries. There's Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, which is an Al-Qaeda offshoot. So there's a lot of turmoil there. The Middle East will continue, I think, to be a source of turmoil. But the key thing will be special ops units will be sent out in small numbers, much below those used in Afghanistan, but they will probably stay for a long period of time and be continuously replaced by new units. Well, there were 3 things really that occurred in Afghanistan that are so critical, I think, for the future. First of all, they went back to their roots, as it were, and they rediscovered something called civil defense, which is really working with local civilian volunteers who want to defend their own areas. And this was done on quite a large scale in Vietnam. The Civilian Irregular Defense Group was the name of the group in Vietnam, and it grew to almost 50,000. In the case of Afghanistan, about 30,000 countrywide. Now, they were small groups at the local level. Each district was limited to 300 volunteers. So it wasn't creating one giant militia, but actually small local community watch and self-defense groups. The second thing was they partnered with coalition special ops to a degree they had never done before. NATO countries, Australia, New Zealand, but also new partners like Croatia, Lithuania, Estonia, also Jordan, United Arab Emirates. So this, I think, is another model for the future, that there are going to be a lot more coalition efforts involving special ops. Then finally, the biggest breakthrough internally for U.S. special operations was they united what I call their soft tribes, all of these individual soft units that had previously worked separately in the field, which really went against the principle of unity of command, which is really a principle of efficiency, that you have one command orchestrating all special ops with their various specialties. And that happened for the first time in the last 2 years, and I think that it is going to be the standard for the future in most places. Well, popular culture, whether through movies or video games, invariably focuses on the unilateral direct action mode of employing special ops. The video game Call of Duty, Zero Dark 30. These are examples of a way of employing special ops, which is really go in the dead of night, jump off a helicopter, and kill someone, or capture them. But by and large, what I see as the wave of the future is a partnered use of SOF, where that host nation has its own forces that are part of that partnership, and they may bring in coalition SOF or other countries. This has gone on, for example, in East Africa and Somalia. Most people don't realize that, but they've really been developing a partnership model there. There will no doubt still be cases in which a unilateral raid is considered the necessary tool, or the drones, but I see those as really the much smaller subset of the use of special ops in the future. Well, because the overall size of the military is going to shrink due to our budget, special ops are going to shrink too. So that puts an increased premium on deciding where to use them. They're not going to be all over the globe. Right now, they're used in an episodic fashion in some 70 countries. I think that number of countries will shrink, but you'll see them used in a more effective manner because, as I mentioned before, they'll be rotating in and out back to back so they can have a sustained partnership with those countries. And I think they are also going to have to raise their game to figure out how they're best employed for strategic effect. Now that the commands have grown up and you have general officers and admirals, you have senior leaders in the community, they need to be part of thinking about how best to use their tactical units.